This is Palm Springs, a resort city located in the Coachella Valley Desert, just 2 hours from Los Angeles, one of the most photogenic and picturesque places in all of California. There are so many beautiful buildings, atmospheric spots, stylish art objects, and unusual desert gardens here that it immediately becomes clear why Hollywood stars love to come here for the weekend. Every building here is like a scene from a retro movie. In this video, we will tour the most iconic neighborhoods of the city, learn about modernist architecture, peek into celebrity homes, and even see the legendary villa where Elvis and Priscilla Presley spent their honeymoon. I will show you what a designer estate that costs $1,000 a night looks like. We will also stroll through museums, the Botanical Garden, and admire the incredible desert landscapes. Let's go! Hello dear ones, this weekend we will spend in Palm Springs, and I must honestly admit that for a long time I confused Palm Springs with Palm Beach. I already released a video about Palm Beach on my Russian channel, and I hope to post it here soon as well. And today I decided that it's time to dispel all doubts and look at Palm Springs, understand what distinguishes this resort, just to stop confusing them. And I hope that if you sometimes have the same doubts by chance, they will be dispelled after watching this video. So we will see a lot of architecture, beautiful places, greenery, desert, in general, an interesting eclectic mix. And let's get started. This is usually where the tour of Palm Springs begins. This is a tourist center designed in very unusual architecture. And here in the tourist center, there is a huge amount of various brochures, travel guides, navigation for any taste and interest in activities, in places, basically whatever you want. You can download an app for self-guided tours and drive around Palm Springs to have an interesting tour of modernism and architecture. And of course, you can buy souvenirs, t-shirts, and various memorabilia with Palm Springs symbols. Heading towards downtown Palm Springs, I passed one of the region's most recognizable and surreal sights, on a desert field of windmills. Hundreds of white turbines stretched to the horizon, their blades slowly turning against the backdrop of mountains. This is not just a spectacular landscape. Here's one of the largest wind farms in California. It provides green energy for thousands of homes in the county and has become a national landmark at the entrance to Palm Springs. Friends, the architecture of Palm Springs is a true paradise for lovers of modernism and mid-20th century style. A large number of buildings are constructed here in a special style called desert modernism. It became especially popular here in the mid-20th century when many young, ambitious designers and architects started coming here to design homes in an entirely new style. In Los Angeles, there were a huge number of stars who wanted to have their hideaway houses. Essentially, these are what we would call cottages. And here, there was a particularly pleasant desert climate. It was warm here in the winter, and there wasn't the same bureaucracy and rules that were in Los Angeles regarding construction. That's why a huge number of people came here in search of cool houses, and precisely these young architects started coming here to implement their architectural masterpieces. And that's why desert modernism appeared here. The features of this style include the use of a huge amount of concrete and glass, flat or V-shaped roofs, and single-story buildings. And one of the features is also colorful doors. So now we will drive through the residential areas and look at those famous colorful Palm Springs doors. Walking along these quiet streets with palm trees and mountains in the background, it's hard to believe you are not on a movie set, but in an ordinary residential area. Here, every door is like a work of art. Palette feels made for Instagram. But behind the bright facades lies a much deeper story. In the 1950s and 60s, Palm Springs became a true laboratory of architectural avant-garde. Local architects began creating a new lifestyle for the desert, light, open, connected with nature. This is desert modernism, a trend that grew out of European Bauhaus but found its form precisely here. One of the key architects is Richard Neutra. He believed that architecture should be an extension of the environment. His houses seemed to disappear into the landscape. Glass walls, flat roofs, and an almost complete absence of boundaries between interior and exterior designed the legendary Kaufmann House, one of the most iconic modernist homes in the world. Donald Wexler pushed the boundaries even further, pioneering the use of steel in residential construction. His steel houses were lightweight, durable, and strikingly modern, designed to withstand the desert heat while embodying the optimism of a new era. Albert Frey, Swiss by origin, brought European minimalism to Palm Springs. He literally built houses into nature. One of the most famous projects is Frey House 2, where a rock goes through the living room. This is not a metaphor, there's actually a huge boulder coming right out of the floor. The developers themselves also became stars. The Alexander Construction Company built more than 2,000 houses in the mid-century modern style, making them accessible not only to the elite but also to the general public. So when we look at these cute, colorful doors, we see not just decor but a piece of the architectural revolution that took place in the heart of the desert. In general, guys, honestly, there are no words to describe how cool it is here. Every door, every house. I've been driving around here for an hour and a half, non-stop stops because it's very beautiful. I recommend everyone to come here if you are in California. I never tire of repeating it, but it is definitely worth it. Visuals, aesthetics, inspiration, creativity. In general, everything you lack in this life, you can find here. Well, I'm heading towards Old Las Palmas. This area is famous for its mid-century modern architecture and is one of the most prestigious and photogenic in the city. We arrived at the next neighborhood and I feel just like a real estate manager here because I want to see everything. I want to buy, sell, and of course share with you. How can I not share? Look how beautiful it is. Just a dream village. In front of us is one of the most striking houses in Palm Springs. It is the Carl Heyman residence. This pink modernist mansion was built in 1964 for a radio station owner in the Northwest United States. The house was designed by architect Albert Frey and Robbins Chambers. Well, perhaps the most famous private property here in Palm Springs is Honeymoon, or as it is also called, Honeymoon Hideaway. This is the house where Elvis and Priscilla Presley spent their honeymoon. Initially, they planned to get married here, but when a huge number of paparazzi found out that they were going to hold their wedding here, a large crowd gathered, and Elvis and Priscilla decided to go to Las Vegas to have a secret wedding there. They returned here for their honeymoon. Previously, it was possible to freely enter this house by booking a tour, but unfortunately, this house was recently sold and is now private property, and entry is allowed only once a year during the Modern Architecture Festival, so we won't be able to go inside. But what can we do? However, we can admire the beautiful photographs, which I will show you now. Another super famous property is Kurt Russell's villa. He used to come here with his wife as if to a country house. This is their summer home here in Palm Springs. In this wonderful house, Clark Gable and his wife Carol Lombard once lived. Unfortunately, they lived here for a short time, for 3 years, because then Carol died in a plane crash and the house was sold to another famous person, Michael Douglas's brother. In general, Old Las Palmas is considered one of the most prestigious and historically significant areas of Palm Springs. This area began to develop in the 1920s when citrus groves were established here. Since then, it has become a favorite retreat and residence for Hollywood stars. Such legends as Elizabeth Taylor, Kirk Douglas, Jack Warner, and many others lived here. Even today, the area remains popular among celebrities. For example, Leonardo DiCaprio owns a house here which previously belonged to singer Diana Shore. Stopped by for coffee and a quick bite, and just look at this gorgeous veranda. When I decided to Google this location, the information I got shocked me. It turned out that I was on the premises of the Michael's House Outpatient Addiction Treatment Center. It specializes in supporting patients undergoing recovery after inpatient treatment. In addition to the classic treatment program, the center offers individual and group sessions, art therapy, yoga, and mindfulness practices. It's amazing that in this region, even treatment centers look like art objects and continue to tell the architectural history of the city. In this episode, we talk a lot about architecture, and we have the opportunity to be not only outside the house, but inside as well. We arrived in Palm Springs for Coachella weekend. Ryan is working at Coachella, so the company provided us with a luxurious villa, which during Coachella weekends costs $1,000 per day. So let's see what you can rent in America for $1,000 per day. And of course, let's take a look at the architecture and interiors of the villa. Let's start with the backyard. Here is a luxurious heated pool with salt water. Then there are loungers and a barbecue area. Interestingly, there's a golf club across from the house and we have access to it. You can go and play. But I think the problem with this place is that a lot of the balls fly out of the court and go straight towards the house. Look at these dents. These are all the consequences of playing golf in fronts. That means there's no guarantee you won't get killed. I think that's why the owners decided to sell this villa. By the way, yes, it's currently for sale for $1.5 million. Inside the villa is very interesting, an Art Deco design with intriguing details. But this house is clearly not for living because look, there is a bar counter in the center of the house. I don't think we use this often in everyday life, but the dining area looks pretty cool. Look at this geometry, the shapes. Everything resembles that Palm Springs desert modernism, a very interesting combination of designs. Our doors are not colorful, unfortunately. We will still have some very interesting interior elements here. For instance, chandeliers, furniture. Everything is selected very competently, except perhaps for this area. This chandelier reminds me of the 2000s in Russia. Very sad. But overall, I can't complain. There's a huge kitchen here. You can cook for a large group. Fireplace, guitar. You can spend cozy evenings in the company of friends. In general, everything here reminds you of rock and roll, lots of music posters. There is the bedroom. Here is another bedroom, quite spacious. Here is this luxurious bathroom with a huge window. As I mentioned, the style element is large windows, glass, a rather spacious bedroom with an interesting rug which, like a bright spot, gives this space some energy and life. And here is a small walk-in wardrobe, an office for work. Honestly, I don't know who works in a party house, but they made a room like this. In general, this concludes our tour of the villa and overall about the architecture. Now we will go with you to the Palm Springs Art Museum. The Palm Springs Art Museum is the cultural heart of the city and a true oasis for lovers of contemporary art, architecture, and design. The museum occupies a modernist building opened in 1976. The museum itself was founded in 1938 as the Palm Springs Desert Museum, initially focused on natural history and the culture of the region's indigenous peoples. Over time, it transformed into a leading art museum focused on contemporary art, architecture, and design. The museum's collection includes over 16,000 objects covering various fields: Western American art, photography, and studio glass. Special attention is given to artists from California as well as international masters. Among the featured artists, one can also see works by the renowned Marina Abramovich. The interiors of the museum themselves reminded me of an architectural exhibition, and it is interesting to come here not only to look at the art objects but also just to admire the building itself, although some exhibits also impress me. There's also a cool courtyard in the museum with outdoor sculptures, a swimming pool, and a cozy cafe. Not far from the museum is the Moorten Botanical Garden, which specializes in desert flora. It was founded back in 1938 and occupies only 1 acre, although it houses more than 3,000 species of cacti and succulents from around the world. And against the backdrop of endless yellow-green hues, this blue table stood out beautifully. Actually, it turns out to be a very similar program to Palm Beach Museum Botanical Garden. But the first thing that catches the eye is the difference in vegetation. After all, Palm Springs is a desert, therefore almost all the types of vegetation presented in the botanical garden here are cacti and their various variations. Particular attention is drawn to the cacti greenhouse, a greenhouse with rare and exotic species of cacti, including unique specimens, some even from Namibia. Such heat, honestly, 38 degrees Celsius, April 12th, and I am just finding refuge now in the greenhouse because the conditions for cacti are more favorable than for the visitors of Palm Springs. The temperature here is more comfortable, and probably a humidifier is working because humidity is felt. In general, I'll sit for a bit and rest. Buddy, I understand you perfectly. It's very hot. I sympathize, friend. Even you have water, but we ran out. On the garden's grounds, there is also a historic Mediterranean-style villa known as the Cactus Castle, built in 1929. The garden remains a family enterprise and is managed by the founder's son, Clark Moorten. Guys, filming videos in this crazy heat is very difficult, so I would be grateful if you support me, give a like, and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it very much. In general, they brought a margarita set with a choice of 4 drinks. It was hard to pick among 15 different kinds of margaritas, so I decided to take the set. The day was stressful. That's why I just wanted to try the famous margaritas from this place. So well, this red one seems okay. Now I'll try this pineapple one. Pineapple is so-so. So what do we have here? I think it's melon. Melon is better, and the last one is probably classic. The first one I liked the most, though I still didn't figure out what it is. Anyway, cheers! The line for coffee at the popular cafe here, Jefa, was so long that I already regretted deciding to stand in it, but the interiors are really very stylish and the coffee was excellent. Afterwards, I went for a walk in downtown Palm Springs, the heart of the city, where the spirit of retro glamour, modern art, and the relaxed atmosphere of the resort mix. Walking along Palm Canyon Drive, you will encounter the Palm Springs Walk of Stars, the local equivalent of the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where the names of legends like Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and Elizabeth Taylor are immortalized. In addition to a large number of souvenir shops, art galleries, and restaurants, downtown you can see many stylish store windows, interesting landscape design, and floral arrangements, as well as colorful benches and conceptual art objects. Sculptures here are not only on the ground but also on building facades. In the square near H&M, there's a futuristic art piece of the astronaut. Another sculpture in a similar style is the Seated Woman. But besides classical sculptures in downtown Palm Springs, you can also find monuments, celebrity figures, and a lot of wall graffiti.
First time at Coachella, been to Palm Springs many times, and what can I tell you about it? I can tell you that the FOMO online, when you're not here, it's totally valid. You're totally missing out, actually.
In Palm Springs, most cafes are dog-friendly. You can go everywhere with a dog. So if you're traveling with pets, it is very comfortable here. All conditions are available for this. After brunch, I went to Sunnylands. This historic residence in Rancho Mirage is about a 25-minute drive from Palm Springs. It was built in 1966 for media mogul Walter Annenberg and his wife Leonore. The pink pyramid roof, huge glass facades, open spaces. The Annenbergs hosted U.S. presidents Queen Elizabeth II, Margaret Thatcher, Frank Sinatra, and other celebrities here. Afterward, the residence was nicknamed the Camp David of the West. Informal meetings of heads of state were held here, including Barack Obama and Xi Jinping. But the main reason for my visit is to see the incredibly well-maintained garden with its desert vegetation. I used to think that there couldn't be attractive vegetation in the desert, but now I definitely take my words back. Look at these watermelon-like cacti and miniature succulents. It looks very impressive, but of course the cherry on top is the flower pyramid in the shape of a staircase, which is all entwined with colorful flowers. To be honest, I was a bit upset because you can take a tour of the residence itself, but you have to book in advance. And unfortunately, when I found out about this place yesterday, there were no available slots for today, so I am missing out on the tour, but still, definitely come here. Entry to the park is free. You can just go and see the incredible garden and the architecture of the interior part of the tourist center. Insane beauty. Palm Springs never ceases to amaze, and I'm not talking about the crazy wind that started, but about these dinosaurs here, because there is a special park dedicated to giant dinosaurs. And it is considered that these dinosaurs are the largest in the world. Let's go have a look. Mr. Rex's Dinosaur Adventure is an iconic roadside attraction located in Cabazon, about 20 minutes drive from Palm Springs. The giant concrete dinosaurs you just saw were created by sculptor Claude Bell in the 1960s and 1980s to attract visitors to his restaurant, but I didn't go inside since I was already heading back home. By the way, another attraction in Palm Springs is the aerial tramway. These are cable cars that take you up the mountain, offering a panoramic view. Very nice, but I was there a year ago and got stuck because we went up quickly, but couldn't go down because the line was about an hour and a half and their credit card machines broke, so we couldn't buy water or anything. Overall, after that experience, I don't want to go back there for now. Palm Springs became a real reset for me and helped to look at creativity from an even broader perspective. Even an ordinary Bank of America here looks like an interior poster. A huge number of colorful retro cars, unusual building facades, a variety of vegetation, and historical sites seem to transport you back to the 1950s. I definitely plan to return here again. Well, for now, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and see you soon. Bye.